And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I am talking with Anca Trifan. And well, Anca, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
You are quite welcome. It's going to be a fun conversation. Anca does something that I don't know that we've had anybody talking about on our podcast. She has a background with event planning, production, and things, but she also does some really cool AI tools for business owners. So we're going to dive into kind of both of those. And I want to start out, Anca, by just saying, how in the world did you get to doing what you're doing today?
Well, first, let's start with my introduction because I feel like we skip right over that. So for anyone that's listening, I'm Anca Trifan. I'm the CEO and strategist for Trifan Events, which is a multi-award-winning boutique event production agency that is woman-owned and woman-operated. And why is that important? Because in the production world, that doesn't happen often. I've been in the event industry for about 20 years. I've nabbed quite a few trophies myself, including, the 2023 Smart Woman in Meetings Awards and 2022 Women to Watch. Now, beyond all of that glitz and glamour, when it comes to events, I'm also a certified event professional and digital event strategist, which means that I'm very much passionate about events, but also very much passionate about what is coming next. And what we're looking at right now is AI tools for not just small businesses, but also for events. And I'm also a huge advocate for wellness among entrepreneurs and business owners, because when I'm not behind the mic on my top tech podcast for event professionals, Events Demystified, I'm probably most likely hitting the gym as a natural bodybuilding competitor. And I'm very much excited to not just demystify AI tools for event professionals and business owners, but also a way in which you can increase your productivity so you can take your work-life wellness balance seriously. And to your question, well, how did I get started? In high school and college, I was what I would call the radio queen back in Romania. That's where I come from. Okay. And I was mixing beats, and little did I know that I ended up actually falling in love over this one soundboard, which was what we used in the radio studio. Now, all of that was great. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for women to work in audiovisual productions back in Romania. So because it was such a boys' club, I wanted to shake things up, and I tried to get myself, get my foot in the door. I couldn't. So what I did, I just packed my bags, and with my ambition, I decided to move to US, and I landed in the city of Angels. And before I knew it, I was producing shows for AI list celebrities and fashion icons. But, the hassle didn't stop there. After doing all of that, I did burn out. Which is why I'm passionate right now about wellness. Yeah. And I transitioned into the corporate jungle. I do call it jungle because sometimes it feels like it. And I end up working on all kinds of ritzy fundraisers, galas, and mega conferences. And then it hit me, years into this process, why am I not doing this for myself? Why am I not being my own boss? So that's how Trifan Events was born. And the rest, as they say, is her story.
That's right. Her story. I love that. Way to put a twist on that one. So you've been doing events and different things for a long time. Where you've got the vision for doing events, for helping people set things up, but let's talk about this new thing of demystifying AI tools, because it is all the rage right now, and that's good, but nobody gets it. What have you learned? How do you help demystify AI tools for not just business, for events and business owners as well?
I feel like a lot of people right now, they're all over ChatGPT, which is great. There's a few different tools out there. You can use Bard AI, and you can utilize what we have right now. But a lot of people are just using it as such a intro level, and they stop there, and they're like, oh, okay, that was great. Well, there's so many ways to take it further than that. There's ways in which you can analyze your data sets to generate real ROI for your business. There's way to turn complex tasks into easy, actionable steps, to employ the most killer tested AI-powered plugins that are available. So you use it every single day. Like, for example, I use Compose AI to respond to my emails, and it comes like such a help, where it saved me so much time just in a little time that I've used it, where I don't have to respond to some emails that I just don't want to, or especially when it comes to emails that you have to say no. and it takes a lot out of you. And obviously, before you do all of that, you have to, in a way, train AI, train ChatGPT, like you would train a toddler to speak like you, to be you, to use your tone. And all of that is done through some prompting that I teach my clients, and I teach, any business owner that's new at this, how to do it. So it sounds like you. So it's not like sounds like some robot or someone that like people can right away tell, well, that wasn't you actually responding with somebody else. And for me, that's a big tell sign of, are you using AI to customize, to personalize that experience, or you're just like throwing it out there and like hope for the best. So there's a lot of ways in which you can also employ AI for content, which content right now is the battlefield, and half-baked AI efforts don't really cut it. I can spot people's AI posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere. It's like, no, please don't. Right? You can use AI for marketing. You can use it to maybe crunch feedback, not just to pen your emails and your website copy. You do have to, however, get that human touch on that, because creativity is still required. That didn't go away. Now, when it comes to social media, as the business owner, as the owner of an event, for example, you better be in the trenches. You have to interact, you have to monitor, you have to deliver the goods every single day. You can't just expect that AI is going to do the work for you. Yes, it can streamline stuff, but for content marketing and social media, there's no shortcuts, unfortunately. You still have to do the work so that people know that they connect with a real person, not just some AI assistant behind the scenes. There's this idea of personalization, and more than anything, especially for events, our events that we plan, that is so important, because it goes to that customer journey, which is the name of the game. So it's not just, a frill. It's at the core of a customer-centric business. You can certainly cue AI and bring it, as your sidekick to supercharge that personal touch. And the more you use it in a way that is smart, the happier your customers will be, because now you're more responsive. Because as a business owner, I fall, just as hard into the problem of doing too much and overwhelming myself with so many tasks and not being able to do everything at once, right? But having the tools that we have nowadays, it helps so that you carve time for the important things that matter, and then let some of the AI tools available do the work that you don't necessarily have to do. Now, how would I use AI right now? I would collect data. I will pick some AI tools that help me not just segment my audience, but craft messages that speak specifically for that segmented audience. As AI learns, you yourself can help it get even smarter. And we're talking about the data collection that leads to decision making. We're talking about tools that, like Google Analytics, for example. I was looking at my Google Analytics for the longest time, and I couldn't really understand much because I'm not an analyst. Like, oh, that's great, but like, why is there not enough conversions on my website? I see all this traffic, right? Now you can take all that data and you can feed it into ChatGPT, and it can give you actionable steps, like how can you improve your SEO? What are some of the keywords that maybe your competition is using that you should be using? What is some content that you can create around the keywords that, your primary, your secondary, your tertiary keywords that you can implement, so that now it makes sense what you're creating has purpose and focus. And obviously there's also ways in which, when it comes to events, and that's, again, I'm very passionate about event professionals using AI tools, because there's so much content that's generated right now, and there's so many sessions that, you as a professional would be like, oh, I want to go at this, join this conference. But then when this content doesn't match your need, you wonder, was it worth it, right? So now you're probably more rejective of the idea of joining a conference, missing time from work, traveling somewhere just for this content that won't feed that need that you have for information, for knowledge, for maybe the right speakers. So as an event professional on the back end, now you really can use AI to help not just inform and enhance your sessions, but provide the right content for your right audience based on who registers. And we're talking about ways in which you can even take it to the next step, where registration also matters very much, because a lot of the times, we look at events and we're like, oh, everybody registered last minute. I'm wondering why, like, what can we do, to increase our registration numbers? There's ways to do that nowadays with AIs. And a lot of people, I guess, they get kind of stuck on, analyzing feedback that was collected at events, but not doing anything about it. Now, you can use, say, code interpreter, part of a ChatGPT, to upload all that feedback from all your forms from past events and ask for real insights. So now you can see patterns and you predict registrations so that next time you plan an event, you actually go after targeted market, targeted registration, and you can even predict patterns as to who's going to register when and what are they going to go for, and all of that informs decision making, right? So it's also a matter of like, how do we use AI for networking? Because networking sometimes I feel is such a mess, especially at events. Like, I want to go to an event that I connect with really good leads, right? But how do I know from like 5,000 people that joined that event that those people that I'm going to start a conversation with are going to actually be good for my business, good for me, good for our, my prospecting efforts? All of that can be used, part of this, all the tools that now we have, so that we enhance our networking matchmaking that is truthfully AI driven in a way, so that if I only meet with 10 people, those 10 people better be, feeding my pipeline one way or another, or me feeding theirs, so that it's it's productive. And I'm all about that, because then it gives me time to go and spend 2 hours in the gym every single day, work on my wellness, and not be stressed out of my mind and burn out in no time.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And obviously there are a lot of uses for AI, and I love the one that really hit me as you were going through all of that was the feedback. And I don't know that business owners are using it to get feedback from prospects, from clients, from centers of influence. Talk a little bit about that, of how could somebody use AI? What tool would they use, and how could they use that to get feedback that would help inform the decisions they're going to be making moving forward?
Well, as I just mentioned, like, let's just say, you just finished this one event and you have forms, and forms that would be feedback forms that you would send out to your registrants, or you maybe collect it on site. I think when it comes to feedback, actually, it's not just a matter of like asking someone to fill out a form, a review, a feedback form, but also using, your eyes while you're on that as an event professional, event planner, event producer, looking around and seeing what happens. That's feedback. Like, that's feedback on the ground that you can look around, like, where do people spend their time? Are they interested? Do they just start like, spending time on the phone 5 minutes into a session? What are the sessions that were most popular versus the ones that probably were not so popular? All of that is still feedback, right? So once you get all that visual feedback, once you get the feedback from people that you get to talk to and ask them, then you can collect your forms, and then all those forms, the answers that you receive. The thing with the forms is sometimes you get more constructive criticism than you get positive. So that's why it's important to have the in-person real feedback that you get from people that are pumped up. They just joined, the session, and they were so happy with the content. You want that feedback too, so you can have a overall idea of how successful that event was. Because if all you look is at the bad feedback, right? Like some people complaining, oh, it was too hot in the bottom, it was too cold in the bottom, I didn't have enough, I don't know, Snicker bars on the buffet table or something, right? Like, if all you look at, like, it's like, it can be, it's just one-sided of the two-sided coin, right? So once you collect your forms, then you can literally take ChatGPT, import all those as a document. There's plugins right now for Excel spreadsheets that you can plug into ChatGPT and ask it to basically provide you a interpretation of all those results in a way that is condensed, or maybe even put it in a table, like, positive, negative, takeaways, ways to improve, steps forward, all of that, and use it for to inform your next event, and see what are the changes that you need to make in a way that will help support whatever it is that your ROI is for that event.
Wow. Yeah. So it gets overwhelming for
yes, it can get overwhelming.
How do you work with business owners? Because they're out there going, smoke is rolling out of their ears right now, going, I had no idea. How do you work with business owners, and who's an ideal client for you to reach out and say, I need some help here, Anca? what are some things you do to help business owners to work with them so they can start using some of these tools?
Well, that's an excellent question, because that's exactly what I come into solving this problem. Because really, if you want to turbo boost your business or maybe your event and want to use some of the AI magic and sprinkle it in there, and you have no idea where to start, yes, you can absolutely 100% feel overwhelmed. So when I work with a new potential client, we look at their needs specifically, and we don't cover all the tools. There's way too many tools. I mean, things are changing so fast in the world of AI that if I tell you right now that something is like latest AI news, by the time this episode airs, it will be like so old news that is not even funny. So that's why even some of the tools that would make sense to highlight right now, they might not even be the best tools or the relevant tools to use a few weeks from now. Like, for example, one of the biggest things in AI news that came out was that Google's Gemini is now the new benchmark in AI models. And it outperformed ChatGPT, the GPT-4 models of ChatGPT by 5 times in terms of computational power and capabilities. Now, that is huge. And why should we care about all of that? Because it only shows that these significant advancements in AI capabilities are only going to continue to increase and get better. Now, imagine when Gemini, which is not yet released publicly, when is it going to get released publicly, which is sometimes in 2024, as they predicted. Now, imagine how that's going to shake the world the way we know it, if it's just 5 times faster and better than what we already know. Right. That ChatGPT 4, the most powerful model, is right now. So there's a lot of big players right now that are trying to push the boundaries, a lot of competitors in this space. They're trying to just bring the biggest, better AI model that there is, language model that there is. So there's a lot of things that are changing. There's a lot of things that are switching and are relevant or not relevant anymore in matters of weeks, right? So those are the things that I look at, and what is relevant for you as a business owner. Like, you don't have to use all the tools. You just have to increase your productivity in the areas that you have pain points. So we have to first determine what are your pain points, and then we can discuss solutions based on what those pain points are.
Awesome. I love that. And that comes through a series of conversations that you're going to have with them, which is good. That
exactly.
Probably not AI generated conversations. These are like real conversations with Anca.
No, this is me and you talking, over Zoom or I don't know, Google Teams, any platform, so that we understand your problem, and then we, can look at options, opportunities, and maybe some solutions that match your budget, match your need, match your whatever it is that the outcome that you're looking for.
Sure. Yeah. How would somebody take that next step? Where do they find you? What's the best way to connect with you for those business owners out there who are just going, I love what it sounds like. I'm still confused. I need a conversation, because they may not even know what they need until they actually have that conversation with you.
Absolutely.
What's that next step?
Well, the next step is connect with me either on LinkedIn, Anca Trifan, ANCA, Trifan, or on my website, which is Trifan Events. And I'm in the works of actually putting a page up just for this, because the need has been growing, and I've been kind of sort of getting so many emails like, what can I do? And I have a calendar invite, and we can put it in the episode notes where people can select a spot that works for them. But I feel like for that introductory discovery call per se, the best way is to just have a conversation, reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to assist with maybe figuring out that all you need is just to learn how to prompt ChatGPT better. Yeah. And that could be your solution. Whereas, for someone else, it could be, well, we need to look at some analytics. We need to look at not just, how AI can help your business productivity, but like, what about your website SEO? What about your JA4 analytics that Google is running on your website, and you don't even know like what to do with it, right? So there's a few different ways we can look at it. And then if he happens to be an event professional, then it's a completely different type of criteria that we're looking at for whatever event you're working on.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to grab those links to LinkedIn, your website, and things. I'll have those in the show notes. So if you're listening to this and you're out exercising in the gym or dealing with customers, no worries. Just go to the show notes and you'll find the links that you can reach out and have that conversation with Anca and find out more about how can you harness this animal called AI and use it productively in your business for your specific pain points and problems so that you can find solutions and more profit, because she obviously knows a whole lot more than I do and that probably you do. And that's why she's there. So reach out to her. Anca, I'm sure we could talk for hours.
Absolutely. Just to add to this, I just want to make sure for anyone that's sort of new and sort of like, a bit on the offside, just looking in, AI isn't just for tech giants, isn't just for people that are into technology and understand technology. Small business owners just like you can get into the action when it comes to AI because it's not complicated. It's not as costly as you might think. So if you may be looking at, slaying your next event or slaying your next project, tech is not just for Silicon Valley. If you put some time to learn how to use it, you will elevate whatever it is that you have, an event or a business that you're working on, from a meh to oh yes. So yeah, let's connect. And then I have to touch on wellness because I feel like that is not optional. If you're running a business, we all know that that's not a marathon, that can be a marathon, not a sprint. So it's so important to put physical and mental wellness at the forefront of what you're doing. It's like you're investing, it's your 401k that you got to be investing in. And they're necessities for your sustainable success. You can't just be waiting to happen by itself. You have to put some time and effort into it. But at the same time, it has to be one of your to-do lists. Like on my calendar, I have a block that is called go for a run, go for a walk, go to the gym, whatever it is, activity that I'm doing that day. It's blocked. Nobody can snag that from me. So you have to look at it that way as well.
Absolutely. Because if you lose your health, you're going to lose everything. And so reach out. I'm going to have everything you need in the show notes. Anca, thank you for being my guest on Experts Speak today.
Thank you so much for having me.